Hello aspirants, welcome to ViceTube. In today's session, we will discuss about the essay paper which is most crucial yet often overlooked. An essay is not just about putting words on paper, it reflects your clarity of thought, balance of perspective and ability to connect ideas. So, since the CSE Mains is going to happen from 22nd 8 2025, the first paper is essay paper, so there are 5 days to go. This video is both for those who are giving CSE Mains 2025, which is going to happen this week from this week, as well as for the aspirants who are preparing for next year attempt and further attempts as well. In this video, I will not just discuss about the very basic essay writing simply by saying that we have to write this, we have to write that. I will show you a clear structure, how we can actually structure essay into and how a paragraph formation can be, how we can improve our English. Okay. So coming to the trends, we can see that in 2025, 7 out of 8 topics are philosophical topics. So we need to stress more on philosophical topics. This way, even if you are not prepared for the information based essay or in order to maintain diversity, you will be able to write at least one philosophical essay or two philosophical essay in both the sections. For example, if we see 2024 paper, in section A you can see that lot of philosophical based essays have been given. This is the only information based essay that is given. This you can write using your general studies knowledge. Remaining other topics are philosophical topics. So if you are prepared about how we can write philosophical topics, you will be able to attempt both the sections. But if you wanted to maintain diversity, in one section you can attempt information based essay, and in the other section you can attempt any of the philosophical topic. So in this session, we will be discussing about philosophical topics, and coming to sources, how I have prepared for my essay is for information based topics. GS content would be more than enough, and I have used PYQ topics, and I've used Vajiram reflective topics and Indian Express essentials. There is one essay topic of previous year questions is given in this essentials. You can practice that too. And regular practice and test series, I have picked up some relevant quotes and some of the explanations as well. So if we go by the paper pattern, you will be given 8 essays, that is 4 essays in each section, and you have to choose one, and you have to write in 1000 to 1200 words each. So total pages is you will be given is 24 blank pages excluding the question given page, and 2 rough pages only in the last will be given. Here each essay is given 6 pages, that is 12 sides. So how I choose to write is 2 paragraphs each and 1000 to 1200 words and 24 paragraphs. I hope you are getting it, that if they are given 12 sides, you will be able to, if 2 paragraphs are written in each page, you will be able to establish 24 paragraphs. Now, before going into the essay, first you need to choose the very right topic, because you need to choose the essay wisely in which you have more clarity, in which you actually have a prepared content and which you have already practiced in test series. Second thing, interpretation is the major role. If the interpretation goes wrong, there are chances that you might lose majority of the marks and you will be allotted only 20 to 30 marks. For example, look at this topic. We must consult our means rather than our wishes. This is a topic where majority of the students usually go wrong. Interpretation would be wrong and they end up writing about the means and ends. But the topic is quite different. Please Google it or use ChatGPT to understand the meaning of the topic and understanding the right interpretation of the topic. Now coming to time management. Here you will be given 3 hours for the completion of the paper where you have to write 2 essays. So each essay will get 1.5 hours or 90 minutes each. So first 10 minutes have to be used for rough, where you can actually brainstorm and structure your points in an organized manner. So for the 2 essays, try to use the first 20 minutes for brainstorming. Either you complete or not complete. After 20 minutes, you have to begin the essay. Now you have to complete the essay in 70 minutes, where 2 essays will take 140 minutes. After completion of the essay, try to leave 10 to 5 to 10 minutes for proofreading, and you may also underline important lines in each paragraph. So it will take 20 minutes. Overall, it is for 180 minutes. We will be able to manage the time. I hope you understood the time management for essay writing. So you in the main examination, you will be given a paper where all the overall question paper is given. Apart from that, the booklet which you will the booklet which is attached will be again having the questions in the section A, leaving 6 pages behind it, and again section B starts again leaving 6 pages behind it for writing the essay. Here this is the 2024 paper section A. So now we can actually start going into the essay. So since I have already told you that first 10 minutes will be given for rough, let's try to brainstorm and how I brainstorm and how I organize my points. So instead of taking the earlier paper, I try to use a new topic because currently this part is of more relevance, where you can use these topics or the points which I tell you in your examination as well. So coming to rough, so like this 2 pages will be given for you, an entire page for the rough, like that 2 pages will be given, so you can use each one for each essay. Since there are 6 pages, that is 12 sides for each essay, I would plan for a good presentation 2 paragraphs each page. This way I would like to complete 100 to 1200 words for each essay, and I will have completely 24 paragraphs. So what I do for completing these 24 paragraphs, I will mark 24 points in my rough paper and they already divide how I am going to write each paragraph and what I am going to write in each paragraph. So I have already decided that first 2 paragraphs in the intro will be my introduction, which includes anecdote or quotation based intro. Okay, or you can even use some made up fictional examples. Okay, so intro can be of so many types: report based, data based, code based, and anecdote based. So here I am using anecdote based intro for the first 2 paragraphs. Then by the end of the second paragraph, I will try to interlink this anecdote to the topic. Otherwise, the relevance of anecdote be would be of no use. So you need to try to interlink, and it should happen as soon as possible. It's not like you write for 4 paragraphs and then interlink with. By the time the evaluator reads the 4th paragraph, he might lose the interest in the topic, or he might feel that you are lost in the introduction itself. So try to limit your introduction to 2 paragraphs itself. Now let's see how we can write intro. So here the given topic is wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrow. So this is the topic. I have to start the intro with an anecdote. So I have planned the introduction this way. In 1945, as the mushrooms cloud rose above Hiroshima, a Japanese school teacher who survived wrote in her diary, "The sky burned, but tomorrow did not arrive." Her words captured the truth that victory in wars may silence guns, but it rarely builds hope. Wars can destroy the cities in minutes, but it takes generations to rebuild trust, humanity, and peace. So, here in the anecdote, I tried to establish using a author's quotation or a school teacher's views on in her diary, that is sky burned but tomorrow did not arrive. So what does this express? That is written in my next few lines. Her words captured the truth, that is the truth related to this topic. Victory in war may silence the guns, but it rarely builds hope. That wars actually rarely builds hope, and it will lose the trust, humanity, and the peace, everything. So wars actually destroy the cities in minutes, and to rebuild trust, it will take generations. This way, I will plan my first paragraph, and coming to second paragraph in intro, I will try to interlink as much as possible here itself. So a sculptor needs a delicate chisel to carve a masterpiece. If he strikes with a hammer, the stone shatters. Nations too cannot hammer their way into prosperous tomorrow through war. The tool of war may break resistance, but it can never sculpt progress. This is why wars are poor chisels for carving out. So, the metaphor used here has been interlinked properly. That a sculptor uses the chisel, and then the stone shatters and becomes into a good sculpt. But if at all the chisel is very poor, for example, the poor chisel here is an instrument for doing something. That is, nations, if they wanted a prosperous tomorrow, they cannot use war as chisels. They will be poor chisels. Instead, the chisel should be diplomacy, cooperation, and integration. So, the tool of war may break resistance. So, and it can never sculpt the progress. So, at the end, try to use the quotation which is given here to interlink. So, since the intro is done, now the introduction, let's discuss about thesis statement or preface. So, here introduction has been completed, and now we talk about preface or thesis statement. So, what is this? Here in this, one particular paragraph has to be written. What it may include, that this is the structure that is going to be, and these are the points which can be expected from this essay. So this is the hint you are giving to the evaluator. So it also helps in smooth transition from intro to body. Direct jumping from intro to body will actually look abstract. So try in this essay, we will address the idea that wars may have short-term political and military objectives, but they are inadequate. How we shall explore how these wars often inflict long-lasting socio-economic moral scars. Also, by seeing the historical experiences and the human suffering and failure of wars to resolve the underlying conflict. At the same time, we will reflect on the constructive alternatives. For example, diplomacy, cooperation, development, and that will truly shape the better future for humanity. So, in this preface, I try to address why it is, how wars are poor chisels, and also giving some suggestions. Hope you got this. Fine. So, 1, 2, 3 paragraphs are sorted out. This is intro. So, here comes the intro, and here comes body. So, this helps in smooth transition or interlinks the intro and body. Now, coming to body paragraph. Fourth and fifth will be my body paragraphs 1 and 2, where we actually explain the keywords and all the keywords. Even the words seem simple, it needs further explanation and total meaning of the topic, because usually philosophical essays are mostly using metaphors. So those metaphors need to be linked with the real world issues, and then Here you can add the interpretation and meaning of the topic. For example, I have written this in 2 paragraphs. When you write in handwriting, it will actually lead to 1 page. For example, a chisel is a tool symbolizing the means by which societies carve their future. So, chisel is a tool here which societies carve their future, but war is actually a food chisel. Next, tomorrow here denotes, here the question itself says it's a peaceful tomorrow. Fine. So here it is the future, the tomorrow is sustainable, peaceful and prosperous future for both nations and humanity. Next, wars in contrast signify organized violence between states and groups. So, wars in contrast signify organized violence between states and groups characterized by destruction, death and disruption. Okay, the next keyword is, so we have discussed about chisels. What here chisels means? The tool that society uses to shape their future, and tomorrow means a sustainable, peaceful future, and wars here is a violence that leads to destruction, death and disruption. So the metaphor on the whole suggests that war as an instrument is crude and destructive. So serve the delicate task of shaping the hopeful future. So it is a very destructive tool that we cannot shape the hopeful tomorrow. So now that we have completed 4 and 5 paragraphs, here although I have added this in a single page, in exam how you have to do is, if the question paper has half of the paper has this question set, either you can start your essay in the very page or you can start from the next fresh page. So if you start from this page, only one paragraph can be included half. Or else if you start a fresh page, try to include in one page both the paragraphs with the anecdote. Then thesis statement and body paragraph starts within that same second page. Okay. For example, look at this. I have added some. Here you can see that paragraphs. Here there is one paragraph and here there is one paragraph. I hope you're getting it. So this way I planned my 22 paragraphs. By the time you come to 4 paragraphs, 2 pages are done and third page is going to start. So here comes the interpretation of the topic is done. Now we have to get into the core arguments, that is why wars are poor chisels or why war is considered as a chisel. First we will have to establish why wars are chisels and then why poor chisels. So here do not use side headings. This is for your understanding I have written this. So 2 paragraphs I have framed only for this one. Wars are chisels because they give quick and decisive outcome. The outcome is quick and immediate. We can even topple hostile regimes. Why we have to topple the hostile regimes? Because we need to safeguard our sovereignty. Okay. Even wars are necessary to redraw the boundaries, and even assert dominance if diplomacy fails. If at all diplomacy fails and you need a quick and decisive outcome, you need to assert some dominance, and that will happen through wars. For example, in World War II, Allied forces have actually toppled or fought with the fascist regime and ended them. From the military standpoint of view also, it leads to immediate surrender, deter aggressors, safeguard sovereignty. In short run, it offers leaders and alters the course of action. So, military standpoint of view, it can safeguard the sovereignty. If you see that, we can understand even with the examples of 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War to the very recent Operation Sindhu, because we try to safeguard the sovereignty and end terrorism. Fine. So now in the next paragraph 8 and 9, or from 8 to even 15, from 8 to 15, you need to establish how these are poor chisels. For example, here, why poor chisels? First thing, massive human suffering. For example, if you see Gaza Strip, there is displacement, refugee crisis, and even uprooted the whole societies, inflicting deeper wounds. You can see that it devastates economies because wars have been fought and that led to increase in colonialism, capitalism, and even scramble of Africa. Now, the scramble of Africa and the artificial borders that are drawn has led to poverty and instability and even ethnic wars in the region. Now, since that I have written already this, I will show you how proper paragraph can be written. So here you can see that in this page I have written two paragraphs. So in the first paragraph I have written about social issues or humanitarian crisis. So I began the paragraph with a discussion how wars devastate civilian lives more than they achieve political aims. Then I started with the example. The Gaza conflict shows this vividly how thousands of civilians including children have been killed, homes reduced to rubble and basic services like hospitals and schools are destroyed. This is my example. It has been shown. If at all you can even add data or any quote any report. How? Here you can write about more than 160 children have been suffering with malnutrition or sorry more than 160 children have been dead due to malnutrition, hunger there because humanitarian aid has been blocked. So since the discussion paragraph should start with discussion why it is a poor chisel, then give an example, then interlink again this paragraph. Every paragraph should be interlinked properly. How? Such suffering proves that war cannot carve better tomorrow. It only deepens wounds of humanity. Okay. So interlink with this topic. Same way, next paragraph if we see, wars also tear apart the social fabric of the nation, leaving behind mistrust, division, and cycles of hatred. So this is my discussion. But example is given. For instance, partition of India 1947 created communal scars that still echo in South Asia. So this is my example, and I even ended with a quote. How? This reminds us that you cannot shake the hands with a clenched fist. So what is clenched fist? Clenched fist means anger, frustration, or even distrust. So here once wars happen, the people are with the clenched fist because they will be in anger, they will be in frustration that they lost the lives and property. Then it will create deep distrust. With this distrust, a country cannot try to shake hands with it or establish governance there. So this way you can use a quote here. Fine. Now coming to the other point, suffering as well as there will be centuries of humiliation. How? Currently, we can see there is an assertive China, rise of China through its debt trap diplomacy or even salami slicing techniques, where they are trying to avenge the earlier opium wars. Even Japan has been inspired and led to an imperialism, its imperialistic attitude after Meiji Restoration. Next one, coming to this, it also lead to balance of power issues because through the wars there will be increase in trying to extract the power, and one power increases, it creates fear and insecurity in the other country, for example, and also it leads to arms race. So here if we can see first example, in World War I was fought, it actually maintained to maintain superiority. How? Treaty of Versailles, they have tried to humiliate Germany, and Germany was in deep distress, and it even led to rise of Nazi party in the Germany, where they led to genocide. Again, this genocide led to secret migration of Jews to the West Asia. There, again, Arab-Palestine conflict has been continuing here. Arab-Palestine conflict means, here I mean to say, it led to Palestinian conflict and Jews. Increased power, rise of power, where insecurity and led to arms race. For example, even nuclear race. After Hiroshima Nagasaki, it led to a Cold War era, even causing Cuban Missile Crisis. India also, because of its two-front threat, it even led some Pokhran tests. Okay, next. A great game that happened earlier where 1976 Russia invading Afghanistan, and it led to proxy wars, rise of Taliban, and even terrorism now. A new great game has been began now because those wars did not stop and it led to a new great game. How? Taliban rule in Afghanistan, even Syrian government is toppled and established an Islamic state. Another thing is that wars actually diverts resources. Instead of investing in education, health and infrastructure, the nations end up spending a lot in defense and weapons. Although in short term this is necessary, in long term it is necessary, but in short term they compromise the investments in education, health and infrastructure. So this is your answer. This is your it should start, your paragraph should start with this and then you end with these examples. You can even give data or report on this. Next. Next point, next paragraph is early resolve root cause. Rarely resolves the root cause. How? Because, for example, if you see that USA and NATO, their actions of creating spheres of influence in the Eastern Europe, it actually led to conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and even a full-scale war, which has which has been continuing even for the last 3-4 years. Fine. So the root cause is that deep distress is not addressed, but it is trying to make some concessions where ceasefire couldn't be established also. Now that we have completed 15 paragraphs, now let's go for consequences. I hope you are getting. Here consequences, you have to add 2 paragraphs are enough because most of them actually cover this. If any other points are left, you can actually write it because majorly humanitarian crisis will help will be caused. For example, Syrian civil war, Middle East crisis, where you can write about hunger and malnutrition. Then moral and ethical degradation in leadership also, that happens. Weaponization of trade. So these wars, which are political or military, can actually even impact the economic relations where will be weaponization of trade. How? China, for example, you can see rare earths have been contained and exports are curbed. And even Trump tariff wars. And even in energy sector, we can see energy dilemma where Russia is actually uh, has curbed gas exports because of its sanctions. So this leads to increase in fossil fuel spending. We start using fossil fuels instead of renewable energy and it leads to high greenhouse gas emissions and called carbon bomb. Next. It can even cause further invasions. How? China threatening to invade Taiwan by 2029. So G0 world will be established. How? What is G0? Where no country has any potential to influence future decisions. Everybody will be at same position where no country can actually stop any war. Next is Kindleberg trap. So just Google this one and write in comment what is Kindleberg trap. Okay, write this in comment section. Next, 18th, 19th, 20th. Here, what we have to do, we need to write the suggestions because we are almost towards the end of the conclusion. So 24 and 25 would be concluding paragraphs. However, before that you need to write suggestions. If you do not want suggestions to be written here, you can write the counter arguments. These are counter arguments that war is necessary. Okay, although here you have written wars are chisels, here again you have to establish why wars are necessary at sometimes because it is unavoidable, not possible to avoid wars completely. So here you can write how. For example, Uri attacks, after Uri attacks or Galvan attacks, then our operations in there because due to threat to our sovereignty and even 1971 liberation war, it resulted in peace now. Fight against rogue nations. And even Sun Tzu's Art of War says we have to be prepared and to have an unassailable position. That is why India has been established. India also established Tri-Service Command Theatre at Andaman Nicobar in order to check the China's string of pearls. Now coming to suggestions. Here we need to relook at our actions. How? Otherwise future of humanity will be bleak. For example, first suggestion is reformed multilateralism. Currently we can see that in United Nations P5 there is crisis of confidence and vetoing either by USA or Russia or even China. So these P5 powers does not reflect the current power distribution or current current growth rise of powers. So there is need for reform and it should not be unilateralism, it should be multilateralism. And second one, economic cooperation here. So we can write about integration because there is a quote that when goods do not cross border, soldiers cross the border. Okay, this quote you can use it at the end. And economic cooperation, for example, you can use about ASEAN. In ASEAN, it's a successful example, although don't again go for counter arguments about the Cambodia and Thailand issues. Here we can just talk about Asian success, how their economic integration has prevented wars all these years. Then third suggestion is diplomacy, use of dialogue, renegotiation. So this will improve the trade relations and even use of soft power and track to point for diplomacy. You here also you can use the quote that war happens when diplomacy fails. Fourth, if you want to add, you can write about promoting non-violence and ethical leadership. That Gandhian principles of non-violence are relevant even now, and even Buddhism principles. I hope you got it. So now that we completed suggestions also, the last two paragraphs should be conclusion. How do I conclude? Generally, I will suggest for nations and this is just a, so in two paragraphs how? First I will give punchlines and quotations or even poems also. You can end with poem based or even you can refer to the intro based, intro reference to example. For example, the author, that future, you can actually write that. Here we have tried to write intro that there is an author, school teacher who wrote in her book, so that the future should be like future children should write about the peace and peaceful walks in the garden. Newspapers should talk about successes, prosperity rather than issues. So nation should be responsible. So try to give a balanced conclusion. What I do, nation should be responsible. For example, like India and no first use policy. At the same time, it should be non-aggressive, but it also should be thoroughly prepared. And global level efforts to prevent wars, we need to actually establish cooperation because, as Prime Minister Modi says, this is not an era of wars. Otherwise, the Homo sapiens will go extinct. So this is how I plan my essay and write two paragraphs in each page and plan like this. Same way, if any other topic is given, do the same thing, do some googling or use chat gpt wherever it is necessary, but it includes the same points. If you practice at least 6-7 essays of philosophical topics, you will be able to, you need not even prepare for information based essay from next this thing. And I have followed this strategy in last few attempts also, where this year I have scored 117 in essay. In my earlier attempt, I got 123. So compared to recent trends, you can see that getting 100 in essay is also good, but I have got 117. It shows that my strategy has actually worked. And if you feel that this is suitable for you, and if you're a beginner or if you don't know or you know the content but you don't know how to present it, this kind of structure will actually help you in preparing your essay. I hope you understood the whole session's main goal, that is to make you help you in writing the UPSC essays. If at all you are giving other exams like SSC or IB or any other NABARD exams or any other exams, in this essay requires only 300 words. If at all there are 300 words, how do you do? Mostly they will not be philosophical essays. Try to write them in this 300 words essay in 5 small paragraphs. Very small paragraphs. Here in first paragraph you talk about the issue, you talk about significance. Issues matlab here give the context in intro or relevance of the topic, then significance, then issues or challenges or weaknesses in achieving something, then do suggestions and then conclude it. So in IB or any other exam other than UPSC, it requires only very short essays of required words. For that you just should not go into elaboration. You just simply need to give the words. If it is a typed topic, give only 3 lines. If it is a written topic, then also you have to write only 4 lines for each paragraph. So then only you will be able to meet the word limit and complete the short essays. I hope this session is helpful. We'll see you in the next session. Thank you.
Please like the video if you feel that the content is helpful, and share the video with your friends who are giving UPSC 2025 mains and preparing for 2026 CSE attempt, and don't forget to subscribe.